Jimmy Murphy for CLNS Media here from Warrior Arena on Bruins Media Day. And I'll tell you, it's a different feeling around this team than it was last year. The Bruins have a much better grasp of where they are, and I think they have a much better grasp of who they have in a GM as Don Sweeney. But one man that always seemed to know that Don Sweeney was the man for the job to take the Bruins into this new era was his colleague and teammate, Cam Neely. Cam, further what I was asking earlier about Don, is there something you saw, if you can think back when he was a player, you guys were teammates, and just as you got to know him over the years, could you ever envision him being a GM? Did you see sort of those qualities in him?
Well,
besides him going to Harvard?
Yeah. Well, I saw what he had to do to become an NHL player, and the time and effort and energy that he put into making sure that he could play at the National Hockey League level, and he survived well over 1,000 games. So I knew that same work ethic would be from a hockey ops perspective, and I saw him when I came back to the team, whether it was a development role, the effort that he put in that, whether it was eventually becoming GM of Providence and running that franchise the way he did. It showed me that he's certainly qualified. It's just the experience.
I've been at many of these media days, and the last one last year, and it's a much different atmosphere around the Boston Bruins this year. Last year at Media Day, if you recall, owner Jeremy Jacobs sat up there with Don Sweeney, Cam Neely, and then head coach Claude Julien, and stated that anything less than a deep run into the Stanley Cup playoffs would be unacceptable for the Boston Bruins. I'll never forget the look on Don Sweeney or Cam Neely's face, and even Julien, when he said that. And is this guy looking at the same team? Or does he understand where we are right now as an organization and where we're headed? It was clear that maybe he didn't have the comprehension of everything that was going on with the team at that time. But now it's very clear that everyone is on the same page, as Cam Neely stated at Media Day. Don Sweeney, as well as Jeremy Jacobs and his son Charlie, all understand that this is a work in progress. Do they expect to make the Stanley Cup playoffs again? Of course they do. If they make it, are they going to blow everything up? I don't think it's that attitude anymore. And that's the gist I got from Don Sweeney. That's the gist I got from Cam Neely. Neely had high praise for his former teammate and now colleague Don Sweeney. Spoke very highly about the way he's been able to maintain his plan. Let's not forget that Don Sweeney had to fire a long-time Stanley Cup winning coach here in Boston last year and took a lot of hell from the media, including myself. I was right there with everybody, being very hard on the Bruins and the way they handled that, doing it in the background of the Patriots Super Bowl parade. But they've recovered nicely, and through all that turbulence, so to speak, Don Sweeney has been able to maintain his plan of infusing youth into this lineup, and not just youth, but impactful youth. And that's what we're going to see this year is Jake DeBrusk and Anders Bjork, two forwards expected to crack the top 6 right out of camp here, could have a very serious impact on the Bruins' success this year and going forward. So to sum it all up right now, I think there's a cautious optimism here, but there's also an excitement because the Bruins are getting younger and they're moving with the times, so to speak, in the NHL. From Warrior Arena, I'm James Murphy with CLNS Media.